This is Danny Gilfillan for Seconds Out. We're in Liverpool where we've just had the final press conference for Jack Catterall versus Jorge Linares. Pleasure to be joined by Frank Smith. Frank, Jack, he's a year or so into signing with you. He's getting him plenty of activity. Looking forward to seeing him out on Saturday night.
Yeah, look, we signed him back in, I think, when was it now? It was back in February time, wasn't it? Or March? No, actually April, because we announced it at the AJ press conference. And the key for us was to keep him active. You know, had a great fight May 27th against Dara Foley. That was the perfect type of test he needed. And then the key for us was, there was talk about, do we try and make the Taylor fight next or a world title fight? I think the key for Jack is to keep that momentum. And we didn't want to delay anything. We wanted to get him out as soon as possible. And I think Jorge Linares is the perfect type of opponent. You know, and he's not Jorge Linares. People will say, you know, he's lost a couple, but he's coming here to win. He's coming here with a proper team. He looks in tremendous shape. You know, it was only a couple of years ago he was giving Devin Haney a run for his money, who went on to become the undisputed 135-pound champion. So look, I think we're in for a proper fight, and good to see Jack back out. And from what I'm hearing in the gym, he's looks in spectacular form. And I think having those back-to-back camps coming straight back off that fight is going to be good for him.
As you say, Jorge, not potentially the fighter he was. It is a fight we expect Jack to come through. That said, Eddie said up on the stage there that the winner of this fight on Saturday is, you know, all but guaranteed a big fight in 2024. Do you think that's likely to be a world title shot? Should it be Jack Catterall?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of talk about the Prograis Haney fight. Obviously, he wants to become a world champion. At the same time, look, I love the Josh Taylor fight. I think it's a massive fight to be made. And we've seen, you know, with the likes of the Leewood, Josh Warrington fights, you know, Chantel Cameron, Katie Taylor, people want to see these big, you know, domestic fights. So, you know, I think there's definitely opportunities to make a world title fight, but I think at the same time the Josh Taylor fight's huge.
You mentioned the Prograis Haney fight. I've seen an interview with Eddie, who was obviously at the press conference this week, where he said he wants to make Ryan Garcia versus the winner of that fight. Now, can you, if you're Jack Catterall, you understand that's probably a bit disheartening to hear?
Yeah, but at the same time, we need to, with all of these things, we need to make the biggest possible fights out there. And it might be that Josh Taylor against Jack Catterall delivers, you know, better for Jack. You know, it depends at what stage he wants. The Josh Taylor fight has been a fight that's been called for a long time. So look, nothing's set in stone, but I think, you know, that everyone's in those discussions. But at the same time, the Ryan Garcia against the winner of Prograis Haney is a huge fight for the US. It's a huge pay-per-view event. So, you know, Ryan Garcia's got to get through Oscar Duarte as well, which isn't a walk in the park. So let's see what happens there. But there's some massive fights to be made.
I spoke to Kevin Ajarko last night, and obviously a stablemate of Josh Taylor, and he said, like, without doubt, Josh will be moving up to welterweight for his next fight. Do you think Jack would be willing to go up 7 pounds for the fight?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. Look, there's been, or maybe meet in the middle at catchweight or something. The reality is, for a fight like that, belts and titles, they're really not relevant. People want to see good fights. It's like if we make Wood Warrington rematch at City Ground. No one cares what belt it's for, is the truth. You know, people want to see great fights, and you know, I think that's one of those that doesn't matter about the belts.
Moving away from Saturday night, obviously it's never good when a fight gets cancelled, especially it's one when people are looking forward to, but unfortunately we got confirmation this week that Manuel Charr versus Jarrell Miller is off. Is it true Manuel Charr's in the running for a fight wanting Joshua?
He's been a name that's been around for a while. You know, there's a small pool of fights for Anthony Joshua, is the reality, in terms of who he's already boxed, who's available in that heavyweight division. But let's see, there's no big chats just yet, but let's see what happens.
What would AJ realistically get out of fighting Manuel Charr, though?
No, look, I think the key is we need to find the right opponent in this interim between getting a big fight. You know, look, the other thing as well is there's a lot going on with the IBF, the Hrgovic-Wallin situation. Let's see.
Moving away from that, a lot of talk over the last couple of weeks about Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank. Eddie said, basically, I don't want to misquote him, but a deal had been agreed in principle that Abu Dhabi would be willing to stage the fight on December 23rd. Just where are we at with that whole thing?
No, look, there's still talks ongoing across all channels, across, you know, with Kalasal and Wasserman, and who obviously promotes Chris Eubank Jr. with Abu Dhabi, discussions ongoing with venues in the UK, with the Zone. So let's see, nothing's done yet.
Obviously, you've all said your preference would be to stage the fight in the UK if possible. I seen a quote from Eddie where he said it could run into January, you know, that December 23rd date's not set in stone. Normally, when we hear quotes like that, it means the sort of later date's more likely. Would you say that's the case for this one, that's more likely to be a January fight than the end of December?
Still ongoing. Like I say, you know, you got Usyk Fury discussions as well around, obviously, a fight we're not involved in, but around a fight in on December 23rd. So lots happening. There's the age chats as well. So let's see. We're working every day, every hour of every day, and hoping for some news soon.
Just moving away, Frank, I've got to get your thoughts on the Misfits show at the weekend. As it always is, a crazy spectacle, but I think the only fights I watched personally were the two top of the bill fights and didn't really deliver from a viewing perspective. Just what were your thoughts on it?
I actually watched the other ones. I didn't watch the main event. I saw clips of it. I didn't watch it live. No, yeah, I watched Salt, Pappy and Slim.
Oh, that was a good fight.
Great fight. And Dean the Great against the other guy, I can't remember. And that was really entertaining. And even the four-way fight, that was just going back and forth. Look, I think the reality is it's entertainment, you know, and I think these guys, girls have such huge followings. I think long term it's going to be beneficial for the sport. I don't agree with everyone's stance of it's not good for the sport. I think these people who are watching, they want entertainment. And, you know, even I watched the Logan Paul fight, right? But the crowd listened to it. Like, they'd be getting booed if it was a normal boxing, but they want entertainment. And I think, if anything, if this gets people in boxing gyms, it's good for the long term. And take it for, you know, you don't have to watch it, you know. So, like, hardcore boxing fans, they don't have to watch it. I think it can also push all of us promoters to work to deliver better fights. You know, the great thing about Misfits is every fight feels like a 50-50, you know, and every fight has a storyline.
The only thing I would pick up on is, obviously, as you say, you know, people are under no obligation to watch it, but there's reports, and obviously we hear pay-per-view numbers all the time, and we don't know like how accurate they are, but there's people saying this could have done north of 1 million buys. Obviously, you share a broadcaster with Misfits and DAZN. Is there not a danger that DAZN will see that and start prioritising and putting their resources into that at the expense of the traditional code?
I don't think it'll be at the expense. I think, you know, look, they want to deliver huge nights, and they'll invest into the best night, the biggest nights in boxing, you know, professional boxing as well. I think it's all beneficial, because at the end of the day, it's boxing, it's crossover boxing, or whatever you want to call it, like whatever you want to name it, well, you know, call it what you want. But it's all helps in terms of, if broadcasters are earning money out of it, great. You know, that's what they want. Broadcasters need entertainment, they need content, and they'll do things that deliver eyeballs. And it puts pressure on us to deliver big events that deliver eyeballs.
Last thing I want to speak to you about, Frank, sticking with the sort of theme of broadcasters. Now, it's sort of been the worst kept secret in boxing, but we received official confirmation that Showtime Sports will no longer be involved in the sport. Now, I know they've obviously been a huge rival of yours, but the consensus is that it's maybe, you know, not good for the sport as a whole. Just a reaction to that news.
Yeah, look, I think no, it's never good when investment comes out of the sport. I think we've always, you know, look, for so many years we've seen new people come into the sport, whether that be DAZN, whether that be, you know, Triller's an example of people who have pumped fortunes, BLK Prime, have pumped money into the sport. And, you know, broadcasters are only going to do what makes sense for them. So when their deals come up, then they'll go, right, maybe we're out. It doesn't work for us anymore. We've changed our plan. We changed our direction. And they made that decision. It's not sitting there going, yeah, it's great for the sport. Not at all. I think what can be good for the sport is, and there's been talk, look, I'm not involved obviously, but, you know, if DAZN have conversations with PBC around more crossover fights maybe, or look, opportunities for people to work together more. So, you know, like I say, I'm not sitting there going, yeah, great for the sport. It's not. Anyone who leaves the sport, it's not good for the sport. But at the same time, I think there's enough investment in the sport and enough backing in there to keep building it. So we're not at a stage where everyone's walking away from boxing going, it just doesn't work. But I think people change their business models, and you know, you have to do that.
Frank, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for giving me your time as always, and yeah, speak to the rest of the week. Cheers.